Welcome, Mr. Ziad Zakhariah, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me there, Nikita.
Thank you for coming on. Let's start with the beginning. I want to know a little bit about your upbringing. Where did you grow up, Ziad?
I was born in Lebanon, and my father and my older brother arrived first. I think it was 68, and then the rest of the family came in 69 before the war. And we mainly grew up around Oakley. Back then it was called Heatherton. Heatherton,
okay.
And it was like a semi-rural area. There was horse paddocks, cow paddocks. It was just starting to get built up. So that was the main area that we sort of grew up in.
Beautiful. And what part of Lebanon were you born in? Was it
the north. It's a really, I don't remember it. I've never been back. It's a really pretty town up the north called Hamad, which where the mountains kind of meet the sea,
right.
overlooking the Mediterranean.
Beautiful. And so you moved to Australia, and I believe at quite an early age, you actually started getting involved in the martial arts.
So we moved in, and I think about 74, 75, my brother George started Zendukai karate, and there he met Paul Fifield and Percy Lanciana, and trained with Bob at the old the original dojo, I think it was Collins Street.
Yes.
And around that same time, he was when I turned about 5, he was 5 or 6. He was teaching me martial arts from home, and when Paul and Percy would come over, they'd show me little bits and pieces, and it was an interesting upbringing because at that stage it was a very early 70s was white Australia.
Right.
So, and I went to a very white Anglo school, and I was the only dark-skinned kid. There was another kid there that was Greek, another boy that was Italian, but they were very fair. So I stood out with dark skin, so getting picked on, getting bullied. And I remember when I started martial arts, I think I did about 2 weeks of it. What do you learn in 2 weeks? You learn how to do a push-up.
Yeah.
But my confidence just zoomed.
Skyrocketed.
I thought I was a martial artist.
Right.
No, I wasn't. I remember they went back to school, and first kid that bullied me just went crack, and
Really?
And that was it. I started standing up for myself.
Wow. So in part, your decision or your excitement to be involved in the martial arts world was due to the fact that you did face a bit of discrimination growing up, and it was a way of sort of empowering yourself.
Definitely. Yeah. A lot of discrimination, a lot of bullying, until I sort of leveled out at that primary school in grade 6.
Yep.
And then I went on from there, obviously, to secondary school.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I've spoken to a bunch of fighters, as you know, in the past, who speak about sort of growing up, being exposed to bullying, being exposed to, I guess, negative attitudes from other people, that they find with the martial arts, as we just touched on, there is this sense of like, you're going to learn how to be disciplined, you're going to learn how to control yourself, how to defend yourself. And that's what sort of sets the stage for future success. Obviously, this touches on what you do at Frank Dando's, but would you say that the martial arts, particularly at that early age, at your early age, was that the correct foundation, a good foundation that sort of led to what you ended up doing later on in life? Was that the bedrock for you?
Look, I was fortunate that I had good martial artists and mentors teaching me in that regard with my brother and Paul and Perce, but both my brothers and Paul and Perce sort of guided me with what to do and what not to do. So because of that, it was a good foundation. So when people always ask me, where's a good martial arts school to go to, I don't say go here, go there. I say to them, look, everybody sort of works differently.
Yes.
Go to a martial arts school, watch the class, listen to the instructor, and if their values and their morals and how they're teaching clicks with your beliefs, then that'll be a good school for your kid.
Yep.
And I still go by it because we've all got, look, I think morals and values and ethics are very important, but we all differ with our morals and our values. Yeah. And when parents are asking me what I perceive as being good might not be what's in their basket for what is good.
Right.
So they've got to find the right art for their child if they want to build that sort of confidence. And back to your question, was it the right thing to do? What it did was, and this is a word that gets thrown around a lot now in media and academic circles, and it's the word resilience. And what I believe martial arts did with me was built my confidence, but built my resilience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's where it was a big plus.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you're kind of touching on a very ancient idea of the martial arts, which is not just developing a fighter, it's also developing a total human being, someone who has those virtues like resilience and determination, but then obviously branches off later on into something like the academic world or education, forming the mind as well. I think it comes as a total package, and it's part of the values that, you know, if people do want to get involved in the martial arts, have to be, I guess, ready to be exposed to, because at the end of the day, as you know, you go to a boxing gym, you go to fight field, wherever. If someone just comes and says, "Hey, I'm a fighter. I want to learn how to box and whatnot," but you know, I'm a tough guy. Very soon they'll be humbled. They end up learning those virtues and those principles quite early, wouldn't you say? It's just it's a matter.
Definitely. Look, if you look at some of the greatest warriors in history, they weren't just warriors; they were poets, they were artists.
That's it.
And one of my favourite quotes is, "Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war."
Yes.
Have those abilities, but know how to control yourself, control your emotions, and use those abilities to serve the greater good.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the bedrock of what it means to be. You know, it's the part of the Bushido code, right? The
way the warrior.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe at around 18 years of age, you started actually teaching karate. Was this your first taste of sort of the educational world and becoming an instructor?
Yeah, I started teaching Ziad Zakhariah with a mate of mine that I was bouncing with at Chase's, Jimbo Lucidaris.
Okay.
Your dad would know Jimbo, and he was a great martial artist. We taught at a school in Clayton, near the Clayton Hospital, and from there it just sort of developed. And the greatest thing about teaching martial arts is you're on show all the time to your students,
right?
And you don't want to portray the wrong characteristics
Yes.
to your students, because you want them to be the best version of themselves.
Of course.
So that was another learning point as well.
Right.
And I gained a lot from that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this, as we talked about, that you have to set an example in yourself first when you're dealing with students, when you're dealing with whoever's actually coming into your dojo or into your gym. It's about being that example first, and then those values that you sort of embody will rub off onto them. And again, I think that it does show in the fact that I believe in your late 20s as well, you ended up getting your accreditation, or your VCE, right? You went back to studying.
I dropped out of school at about 16.
Right.
And I started bouncing at 16. Initially at underage discos.
Yep.
And then I think at 17 was my first licensed venue. And
wow.
And I worked for originally just on my own. Then I worked for David Hedgecock for about a year. Then I worked for some other companies, and I branched out again on my own. And my brother Nick opened up a security company and worked for him. Then I was at Chase's for about 4 years. So I did the rounds a fair bit. And then for quite a while I was doing security at all the kickboxing events for your dad.
Oh, wow.
He was good. I got on pretty well with your dad. And then it sort of took me to the pinnacle where I'd done a fair bit of bodyguard work for some big name celebrities.
Yes.
And I was working at, there was a hotel on Collins Street called Le Meridian, the old Menzies at Rialto.
Yep. And
that was great. I was head of security. I had my own office, suit and tie job. And everybody was asleep in their rooms. It was a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
You're not going to get more cushy than that.
Right.
And then I just thought, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
So I got and around that stage, like I've known Paul since I was about 6. And I remember one day we always just go horse riding together. And one day, Paul's pretty calm, if you know Paul as a character.
Of course, yeah.
One day he actually raised his voice at me, which was unusual. And it was about me wasting my life bouncing. And he said, "Mate, you can do so much more." And he gave me the idea of going back to uni and doing maybe a degree in outdoor education.
Right.
So I took it upon myself to go out and I applied for the first uni, which was at La Trobe, to do a degree in outdoor ed as a mature age student. And I got my CV together, which I'd never had. Did everything I had to do to get in there and didn't get in.
Right.
And I went, okay, let's fall down once, stand up.
Yeah.
Eight.
Yeah.
The Japanese proverb. So I went back and applied for a few different jobs that I didn't get into. And then when I was working at Le Meridian, a good friend of mine, George Mariolis, that I bounced with, he'd done a previous degree in commerce and economics. And then he went back and done VCE to get into a degree he wanted to get into a degree in psychology.
Yep.
So he rang me one night and he goes, mate, I've gone back to school. And I'm like, oh, what uni? He goes, no, I'm doing VC. I'm like, mate, you've already got a degree. Because I want to do psych. The only way to get in there was to go back and do VC.
Okay. Yes.
So that night I couldn't sleep and went home and still couldn't sleep. I worked all night. I went straight down to the local TAFE and they went, you're 2 weeks too late.
Oh,
So I rang up George. I go, mate, where are you? He goes, I'm at Swinburne. So I drove straight down to Swinburne and they took me.
yeah. In Hawthorne.
And I was 27.
Yeah. Okay.
When I did my VCE.
Yeah.
And 5 degrees later, the rest is history.
That's fantastic. And I believe you got a degree in sports exercise and psychology.
So my undergraduate, I got a double degree in sports science and psychology.
Yep.
2 degrees there. Then I did an honours degree. Then I did a postgraduate in religion, postgraduate degree in education, and then a master's degree by research in educational psych.
Phenomenal. So you can at least say that. I mean, we've brought this up a couple of times now, but being someone who's come from the world of martial arts, you're obviously involved in, as a bouncer as well. There's a real sense of grit to those types of professions and those activities. But on the other hand as well, you are focusing now on developing your mind and trying to get those degrees and sort of further yourself academically too, which is I guess the mark of someone trying to be a well-rounded person, which is what Paul, I know, definitely tries to encourage in a lot of people. So this happened around your late 20s. Now, when did Frank Dando start knocking at the door? At what point did you start? It might have been later on, but I believe it was around 2001 where you applied to Frank Dando's. Was that always, after you had completed your degrees and whatnot, was that always on the trajectory to get involved into education as well?
I didn't know what Frank Dando's was.
No idea.
Frank started the school in 1981.
Okay.
Never heard of it in my life. And I worked as a HR manager for 1 year post-studies. Initially, while I was in my postgrads, I was working as a sectional lecturer in a sports science department at this Frank Catholic University while I was still studying. And then I worked as a HR payroll manager for a hospitality group in a family friends, and it wasn't utilising my education, my personality, my experience, my sports, my outdoors, and it was hard for me to do. So I thought I'd leave that, and a friend of mine was pretty high up in pharmaceuticals, so I was waiting to get a job as a pharmaceutical rep because of my background in sports science and psych.
Of course.
And until then, I thought I'll wait and I'll just do some emergency teaching. So, most young kids now wouldn't know what the Yellow Pages was, but I did. I opened up the Yellow Pages and I was looking at schools within about a 10k radius of where I lived in Oakley. And under education, of course, there was Frank Dando Sports Academy. So I'm ringing up the schools, speaking to their timetable coordinator. And I ring up the Frank Dando school and the phone rings and I've gone, "G'day mate, can I please speak to your timetable coordinator?" He goes, "Yep, that's me." And I'm like, "You're the timetable coordinator?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Mate, I'm a principal, I'm a teacher, I'm a cleaner, I'm whatever you want to be. What do you want?" I'm thinking to myself, who is this guy?
Yeah, right.
And I said, "Look, I'm a teacher. I just want to do some ET work, emergency teaching."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, yeah? How big are you?" I went, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Mate, these are pretty rough kids. Size comes in.
Yeah.
How big are you?" I go, 6 foot, 87 kilos and ripped.
Yeah.
I had to.
You're gonna love that.
And he's just like, "Oh, you're pretty." He goes, "Oh, what do you do?" I go, "Sports or academics?" He goes, "Oh, both." So I went through it all, and when I told him I was a karate bloke, he goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm a judo bloke." Because they come down and we'll have a talk. So I drove down there and it was a house.
Right.
So I walked in like, this is unusual. And I see this lady there with another bloke, and as I walked in, I go, "Hi, there's a school interview. They've got to come in." And the guy looks at me and goes, "Is that you, Ziad? Zach?" And I'm like, "Bob." And it was Bob Todd, who was on the martial arts board
Okay.
at that stage. So whenever the kickboxing occurred, Bob Todd was the combat sports representative.
Right.
So that was really good. And Evelyn, Frank's wife's gone, "Oh, you know each other?" And he's like, "Yeah." So Frank and Evelyn thought I was a stooge. They thought I was a setup. Because when he was going through my criteria, I ski, I surf life save, horse ride, abseil, background in psych, background. It was just like, this guy's, what happened was there was a bit of bad blood between him and a previous teacher that had left and done the wrong thing by Frank. They thought I was sent down there to wreck the school. But when Bob Todd said, no, I know him, that was Frank's best mate.
Right.
So by the end of the interview, he said, "Look, can we have a chat and give you a buzz tomorrow?" So I went home, and the next day Frank called me in and offered me the job full time. And Frank was a really straightforward bloke. He was, may he rest in peace. And I said to him, "Look, Frank, I don't know you. You don't know me. I might not like you or the job, you might not like me. He goes, well, how about you try it for a month and we see how we go. Excuse me. So we gave it a month, and at the end of the month, he said, your time's up. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, well, what do you reckon? And I said, well, you've got me. Right. And he goes, all right, let's sit down and talk contract. And that was 25 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's crazy how it did seem like at the start, at least, there might be some hostilities there, but they were quickly put to the wayside because of, I mean, the relationship that you built with him. So what was your initial impression like of Frank Dando's when you first turned up there? What were your initial thoughts?
Well, as I said, it was a house, and then he had an extension up the back with a Japanese tatami. It was a straw roof, wood along the walls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the clock, and there was a picture of the founder of judo. And I sort of walked in there and looked, and I sat back and I'm sort of looking at this little room, and 4 kids turn up. And Frank is a character. He goes, but I like to make, we can afford to pay. We'll get more kids. The rest is. So it was like a turning point that year. So it was a bit different because it was so intimate and small.
Right.
And all we do is teach them maths and English.
Yeah.
That's broken up between. Back then it was just judo and swimming.
Yep.
And then when I started, I introduced karate and boxing and kickboxing into it.
Was that soon after you were joined up? Because I did read that you quite quickly implemented your own vision, obviously with Frank.
Frank was good. He said to me, whatever you want to do, just do it.
Oh, great.
And then he goes, and I said, and he goes, if it doesn't work, well, we've learned something.
Yeah.
So he gave me full rein and said, just go with what you want. Yeah. So I implemented a few things. I didn't do it immediately.
Yes.
I sort of sat back and had a look at what was occurring, and changed some of the reward systems that were in place to make it more positive for the kids.
Yep.
Introduced, the boxing and kickboxing in there. Changed around a few of the camps. And then it was done over time, a few things here and there. And that same year that I started there, Frank and Evelyn Dando got married. So it was an honour for me to be invited to their wedding. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Evelyn pretty much started just before me. So we sort of had a pretty big role in sort of reshaping the school's structure, reshaping the school's reputation and image, and that went down pretty good.
What was the reputation and image like of the school when you first came there? What was the sort of overarching philosophy of the place when you arrived?
It was pretty much self-image and academic achievement through sport.
Okay.
And there was only me, Frank, and Evelyn when we first started, and we wanted to build and change the image to. So it's not just a school for, what people would call bad kids.
Yes.
It was we changed the image to make it a school for kids that are disengaged, kids with low self-confidence, low self-esteem. So if you look at the normal bell distribution, if you're familiar with that, like a little hump, you've got your mean in the middle where most kids are, and then your extreme ends. So we were taking the extreme ends on both sides. We're taking the kids that are right out of control with possibly a violent tendency, and that's mainly a lot of what it was before. And we changed it to take the other extreme end, the boys that were quiet, overweight, that would get through the mainstream system doing nothing.
Right.
They were ghosts.
Yeah.
So we build their confidence up, and putting them together was a real good balance in that, because the boys that were quiet were quietening down the kids that were loud, and the louder kids were picking up the quieter kids.
Yes.
So it worked well.
Yes.
But this was under really close supervision, a really high student-to-teacher ratio.
Yeah.
So there was, when we started, there was, like I said, there was Frank, Evelyn, and myself, and that first year we had 10 kids.
Wow.
And by the end of the year, it was 14.
Yeah.
And then the following year, I recruited Paul come on board the following year, and he started off on camps and then one day a week, and then just rolled from there.
Fantastic. And do you think that outside of sort of the additions of certain personnel as well and other aspects of the curriculum, how would you say the school has developed and changed, maybe in terms of its philosophy, and also how the outside world perceives the school now? Has there been an evolution since you joined up as well?
Oh, look, it's evolved because society's evolved.
Right.
So people are a lot more informed or misinformed, depends on how you want to look at it now, because of social media and the internet. Like when I got there was no internet at the school,
right?
No website, nothing.
Yes.
Whereas you look now, every phone is a computer, and every phone has the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely evolved because we've had to adjust to fit in of what societal norms are.
Yes.
Not to the point where we're encroaching on the values and the morals of the school.
No.
So we still have no computers there for the kids.
Yeah.
Everything is
No computers?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, I've got one computer for 10 staff.
Wow. Wow. That's great.
Other than that, I've got a computer and my PA is a computer.
Yeah, yeah.
And we get a new facility built, which is great. Every teacher will have their own computer.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're evolving. But I don't want to take away from that, because I look at kids nowadays and their handwriting is dismal. And everything is on screen. And you walk into our school and you can hear a pin drop. And the kids are reading and their handwriting is improving. Their maths is improving. Their reading, their English expression, their self-confidence through intensive sport, the martial arts, weight training, swimming, and the confidence through the outdoor education. So all these things working together. So the concept and the main moral fibre of the school is to really increase these kids' self-confidence, self-worth and self-image through intensive sport, outdoor education, and dietary modifications.
Yeah.
And then once their confidence is increased in that, we superimpose that confidence into the academic curriculum.
Yes.
So you might get a boy that's 16 with a reading age of someone who's in grade 5 or 6, and same with their maths.
Yeah.
So if I get him and I put him into a group according to his chronological age,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what every other mainstream's done,
Exactly.
and he's going to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's not going to be able to understand these words.
Yeah.
And if I give him maths and his work in quadratics at year 10, and he doesn't know what 6 times 7 is, he's going to fail. So I put him in a class according to their cognitive ability rather than their chronological age, and that builds confidence. And I'll give you a sheet with work that's really easy. And it's not like, you should be in this class, you'll go tick, 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 tick. Mate, you're a genius. And you watch these kids, their chest come out.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, you're going to get me out of the job soon.
Yeah, right.
Pathetic.
Right.
Do another one. And they're like, bang. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
maths is fun.
Right.
Maths is easy.
Yeah.
English is fun. And then we build them slowly. And as we build them, you see their confidence come up because of their cognitive ability.
Yeah.
But you see their self-confidence come up because they can't do one push-up on day one.
Yeah.
And now they're doing 50 or they're doing 1 lap or 2 laps of the pool in day one.
Yes.
And within 3 or 4 months, they're doing 40 or 50 laps.
Right. Right.
So it goes hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand.
The physical has effect on the cognitive.
Absolutely. And what's funny about what you just said there is I've heard from past students as well that the way they would learn, for example, I believe in one of Paul's classes, he had them memorize a monologue from Pulp Fiction that was based on the Bible. It was a biblical verse. I forget which one it was. But anyway, and that the way they would learn this was that they would practice. And if they would stuff up a line, they would have to do burpees or they would have to do something like that. But what's interesting about that is, as you mentioned, there's a sense of competitiveness that comes out of the boys just from like a simple good word, like, oh, you're a genius, this is fantastic. And it eggs them on to do more. Whereas traditionally, at least in my experience as well at school, you never had that sense of competition in the academic world. You did at higher levels, but it wasn't something that was, I guess, pushed or inculcated in a way that made you want to do better. Yeah. Right? That was reserved for sport, not for the academic.
What we also do is, like, if I get a boy that gives me a math sheet and he gets 5 questions wrong, I'd say, guy, I'll tell the boys, if every question wrong, it's 5 push-ups. Yeah, right. So if someone comes to me with 3 questions wrong, mate, 15.
Yeah.
And I'll get kids like 100%, and they go, I'll just do 20 anyway, and they just drop and that says a lot, because what it does, it's breaking the boredom, the monotony of sitting there like a mainstream school.
Yes.
And that goes a long way in doing that.
Yeah.
You find a lot of the kids, and you'll find some of the kids that, by the end of the class, they've done 100 push-ups, and you're like, my arm's killing me. I go, well, are you ready to pay attention? Yes.
Yeah.
Come over. I had one boy one year. It was interesting. He used to hate tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
He did not like tomatoes. So I'd bring in a tomato into maths class every day, and I'd cut it into 8s. And every time he got a maths question wrong, I'd go, piece of tomato, and he'd look at me and go,
oh, that's great.
In the end, he wasn't getting any maths questions wrong.
That's right.
Now, fast forward, 15 years, he came to my house as an adult. And he ended up joining the SAS. Right. And I was living in Perth. And we come over, he visited me. And he was telling me stories about his dad and blah, blah. And he goes, and by the way, Ziad, I love tomatoes now.
Completely. Yeah, just a 180.
You just weren't giving him a chance.
That's exactly right. So it's a funny way to sort of implement negative reinforcement in a weird way as well. I want to touch on that. I guess, sort of broaden that out in terms of diet, I think that is something that might be, I guess, mistaken or not really emphasized in sort of traditional educational systems.
There's a growing body of evidence that what we eat has a definite effect on our behaviour.
Yes.
And it certainly does. You look at kids that'll have red cordial and they're zipping all over the place. Their behaviour's out of whack.
Yeah.
So we have a very strict no junk food policy, and they can drink whatever they like as long as it's water. So, and they eat during their academic work. And we don't eat separately from the kids. I call the school a family because we're with them day in, day out for a month of the year on camp with them. So we eat with the kids because when you go home, who do you have dinner with? With your family. So to call them family and not behave like we're a family, we're lying. So we'll sit there and they see what we eat. They'll bring to school a tub of yogurt with nuts and berries, or I'll get some of, my wife's home cooking and I'll heat that up and I'll get into that. And because they see that, they know we're not just talking the talk. We're walking.
Correct.
We're walking the talk, and we see what they eat, and you see a massive difference in not only the way they behave, but they start dropping weight if they're overweight, and they start feeling good. And then all of a sudden they start developing abs and shoulders and the arms and they're training, and then all of a sudden you see them and they're proud. They're proud of what they can do, and that's the physical part of it. We haven't even started talking about the mental aspect, the academic aspect, how that affects it as well.
And I think what's so beautiful about that is not only are they, again, sort of developing themselves in a well-rounded way, both academically, intellectually, and physically, but you're also providing them real-world skills, about the importance of diet. Like that's something that, the most intelligent man on earth, could completely have blindsided in their life because they were never taught the correct principles of eating and what you should be putting into your body. And I know from speaking to past Frank Dando students that there are things like, your month-long camps and whatnot, and survival skills, just learning to live on your own and being self-sufficient and independent.
Life skills.
Life skills. But we're not taught that. I wasn't taught that. We're not taught that in an academic sense.
We do.
Educational sense.
We teach them a lot of life skills about cooking, cleaning.
Yes.
A couple of times a year we talk to them about, I don't know of any schools that does this. We sit back and we talk about the costs of a car, from buying it, service, interest, registration, insurance, running costs, all that sort of, and the kids are like, wow. Because all the kids go, I want a Porsche, I want a BMW, I want a Merc, and we're like, well, let's put the figures on a board, and we teach them that. We teach them the costs if they want to move out of home. And what that does, especially the cost of living out of home, it makes them, and we do this on purpose because we want them to value what they have. It makes them appreciate what their parents are doing for them. Because they go home to a lovely bed, to clean clothes, to a nice meal, to electricity, to a tea, and they take it for granted. Mum and dad are out there working their butts off for you, and they think, I want to move out, I'm going to be fine. Of course you are. No, you're not. These are the costs, and you see the eyes just like, wow, this is huge.
And what would you say now, do you think, to people who, again, maybe watch the old 60 Minutes interviews back in the day, the School of Hard Knocks about Frank Dando's? What would you say to those people now that see it from afar and they don't see what we're talking about now? They don't see that. They just see, a bunch of young boys, mucking around. Well, not mucking around, but sort of getting taught hard discipline and old school way. What would you say to that if they have
mucking around?
Yeah, exactly. The complete opposite of mucking around.
I would challenge anyone
yes.
to come down or go anywhere and find a quieter classroom with boys working diligently because they're achieving. And I have a lot of teachers and I've had a lot of principals come to our school for professional development, and they are just blown away with it. Not only how hard they work physically and mentally, but their courtesy, their politeness, how good they are. They'll walk up and shake your hand and come down one day, Nikita. Come down, I'm employed, please. Come down and have a look at what we do. It is one of the quietest environments ever. So for people that want to judge from the distance, be careful. Don't point a finger 3 point back. Come down and have a look.
Of course.
And look, if I can correct you, a lot of people say, like I always used to say, and Paul used to say, soft love has a lot to answer for. And even us, even we use the term hard, tough love. And I've been thinking about that lately, and it's not tough love what we do. I'd like to call it strong love. And this is the difference. My boys welcome me and the staff with a hug, which is unusual. And we show them empathy, compassion. We show them gratitude. And it goes both ways. We're hard on them when it's necessary.
Yeah.
But when they do wonderful things, we're the first to pick them up on our shoulders and scream and be proud of them. That's not tough love. That's strong love. That's showing them that men can be strong and soft. And I love the analogy that I use with a samurai sword. Because if you look at the swords of history, the samurai sword is ranked as the best sword ever made. So if you get a blade that is too hard, when it clashes against another blade, it'll snap.
Yeah.
So being too hard is not good. Yeah. And what's special about the samurai sword is the edge of the blade is hard, and as it goes in towards the center, it softens. So when it hits another sword, it gives. It doesn't snap.
Yeah.
And then it cuts through what it needs to cut through. So if we can forge ourselves as young men, as an adults, like a sword, sharp when we need to, but yielding when necessary, so we don't snap. And that makes a polished sword. So if we can polish our souls, so to speak, and our personalities and our behaviour like a sword, that can create not only a man, but a gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the ideal.
And that's the goal that we look for with the kids.
Yeah, beautiful. That's fantastic. And do you think that in the foreseeable future, you can see potentially more, let's say, of the Frank Dando's philosophy being implemented in even traditional educational systems? Or do you think there might be, is it your suspicion that there might be always this slight chasm between the two? What would you say there?
Look, the biggest difficulty to implement it into mainstream schools, and we find this difficulty, is the right staff.
Right.
So
personnel.
It is harder than finding hen's teeth to get the right staff for our school, because first of all, they've got to be a qualified teacher.
Yep.
And then they've got to be able to teach maths and English. Then hopefully they've got a background in martial arts, understand weight training, have a qualification in swimming, know how to ride a horse, how to ski, learn survival skills. Now, when they've got all that, they've got to have really thick skin.
On top of it.
Because if a boy attacks you physically or abuses you verbally, you cannot respond and react. You've got to act. It cannot be a knee-jerk reaction. And that is the hardest part.
Yeah, right. So it's about finding the right people for the job,
and it's difficult. You know, a couple of times I've advertised and people send in their CVs and you're like, oh. But look, in saying that, where I'm very fortunate and blessed, if you want to call it, I've got 2 ex-students now that are doing teaching degrees. One of them is doing a Masters of Education. So Cam Eyes, who worked at Fight Fit, he's done a degree in sports science. He did a Masters in sports science. Now he's doing a Masters in Education. So he's working as a teacher's aide.
Wow.
Troy Bullock, who was an ex-captain as well. Got his own gym. He's got his working with Children's Shake, and he's doing an undergraduate in education as well. And I've got 2 other students that are doing a teaching degree at the moment, and one of them will hopefully start with us next year as what they call a PTT, which is permission to teach. And so I've got 4 ex-students that I'm recycling them to come back as teachers.
Right.
Not many schools can brag about that, which is a wonderful thing. And the great thing about them is they've got an advantage over me because they were in that seat. I've never been a student at Dando's. I've been a student elsewhere. And I've formulated my morals and philosophies to get the best out of these kids, you know, with Frank's vision. These boys have been in that seat as a Dando student and as Dando captains. And they're coming full circle to help more other kids in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I see this sense even with the trainers at Fight Pit who are like Cam, who were at Frank Dando's. They have this sense of giving back. It's very strong towards the community.
Oh, they're beautiful people.
Beautiful people, like inside and out. A good shout out to one of our previous podcast guests, John Ferraro, as well, who was on this podcast. Yeah, he was just...
John was a good kid. He was tiny when he first came.
Right. Well, he's still kind of short. But
he just took what we said straight to the heart and just did it. And he became a captain. And he was a very, very... And for his size, he was small in stature than the kids. But his personality was massive. And absolutely led by example.
Yeah, and he's got such a big heart, just
He
such
does.
a big heart. And yeah, it's beautiful to see that they have this sense of like, we need to give back to the school, and they talk about it so glowingly, which is fantastic. And it's a real testament to sort of what the foundation was like, going back to foundation was like at Frank Dando's.
Well, we have an alumni of probably about 200 ex-students that I communicate with. And one of the ex-students that's doing his teaching degree was working for the men's shed,
Yes.
which is like a counselling adult group for men.
Yes.
And I think he was working at the Austin psychiatric ward helping men. So when he comes on board, we're kind of doing a Frank Dando shed, so to speak. We've already started. So once a month, we get ex-students come in, whether there's one or whether there's 100 turning up, do a workout, have a talk, have a coffee, train, just to keep that connection going.
Yeah,
and it's just going to build and build.
That's fantastic. And what else is on the horizon for Frank Dando's in the foreseeable future?
Well,
coming up,
the state and federal government, with their wisdom, so thank you to the government, have been very generous with some grants. And that old house that I was talking about has been demolished. We're rebuilding a state-of-the-art facility, which will be 3 levels. And we're looking at dropping the entry age from 11, 12 to 9 years old.
Wow.
And going to do Year 12, VCVM.
Wow. Yes.
In the new facility, we'll have 2 rings, sides of this ring, 2 5-metre rings, a sprung floor for the judo with a tatami on it, bags on that level, 160 square metre weight training facility, a commercial grade kitchen and cafe. And we're doing this so the older boys can learn hospitality, barista making,
Beautiful.
do Cert 2, Cert 3, Cert 4 in fitness. And we'll start doing other vet areas. And then that's on the ground level. The bottom level is all storage, car park. And then the top level is all classroom with a bit of a student hub. So we're not going to know ourselves. And having a bigger facility will allow us to increase the size of the school to help more kids, which is why I'm looking for good staff, because I want to keep the student-teacher ratio very, very small and keep it very special.
Fantastic. Ziad, and what would you say about the idea that there is a connection between the martial arts and particularly male behaviour? What's the connection there? How would you see that as a relationship?
Is it a relationship generally, or in a relationship to how it's imposed in the school?
How it's imposed in the school, particularly for Frank Dando's, but also just in general, what does the martial arts offer someone, particularly a male, in terms of their psychology and the behaviour?
From behaviour, I think as humans, we to achieve things, we need to have self-discipline.
Yes.
And we need boundaries. Otherwise, we just run amok. And that's what martial arts does. And the way we use it at the school, and it's interesting because a lot of people say to me, aren't you teaching violent children to become more violent? And the answer is no. There's growing evidence that the discipline of martial arts teaches them to harness that aggression. We're currently doing a study, we're starting to study with, I think it's the Charles Sturt University and University of Queensland, and we're looking at those factors. The only time you're going to get violent children becoming more violent with martial arts is if you get a bad instructor that is violent by nature and aggressive by nature, teaching kind of like the Karate Kid scenario.
Right.
Mr. Miyagi against what's the name of the other guy from Cobra?
Forget.
Where he was, no mercy, that sort of stuff.
Yes, yeah.
But I think if you're teaching children that this art is to discipline you, to control your thoughts, your behaviour, your aggression, you channel it in a positive light. When it comes to being angry, then it's a choice of, do I explode for no reason or do I harness it in? And in martial arts, if you explode, you lose. You've got to harness it and focus, and then what do I focus that energy on? And with boys like rough and tumble play. Most schools, if boys are rolling around and wrestling, they're going to get sent to the office, they're going to get suspended. At our school, quite often you see kids wrestling around, mucking around, and right in front of the staff. And when I get other teachers there, they're like, wow, they could never do that at my school. And I go, well, we let boys be boys.
Yes.
And generally when they learn the martial arts, there's no reason for them to wanting to go out
course.
and fight because we do so much sparring in there, whether it's boxing, karate, judo, grappling. We're constantly moving with the kids. They're being fit. So the energy levels is, and when they know they're confident to handle themselves and somebody is abusing them and they're like, mate, just relax. So they work very, very calm.
Because they've been there. They've experienced all that before. Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're getting them to channel that unspent energy in a constructive manner, which is the martial arts. And that's the discipline that comes with it.
Good. So, scuba diving instructor, I believe as well, swimming instructor, you a master in horsemanship. You're obviously a fourth Dan Zendokai karate as well. All these amazing accolades, and also in addition to all of that, you are a ninja warrior. Is this true?
This is so.
How did this happen? How did you get involved in the ninja warrior space?
I think it was 2016.
Yep.
I saw something on Facebook about ninja. I had no idea
Right.
what ninja warrior was, and I looked at it and I thought my wife could do this.
You, Amanda, is your,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I went home and I've gone, babe, I've got this TV show. I'm gonna audition you in it. And she's in the kitchen preparing dinner for the kids, and she's like, what is it? I got Ninja Warrior. She's like, what's Ninja Warrior? I go, I don't know, some fitness thing, but I reckon you'd be good.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, so I'm actually applying for her.
Yeah, okay.
And I said, we've still got no idea what's going on. I know you've got to do this and that. So I put together this video footage of us and sent it off with no intention of it even coming back to us. And then we started talking a couple of days later. She goes, what is it? I said, I don't know. Let's Google Ninja Warrior. And I looked at it and I'm like, hang on, it's on YouTube. So I put it on TV and she's watching it and she's like, no way, I'm doing that. I'm like, you'll do it easy.
Right.
So, we start sort of training, and she's training for it. She's doing some chin-ups and this and that. Next thing you know, we get a phone call and she's been asked to come in for an audition. I'm like, you can do this.
Yeah.
So they said in the audition, there's a bit of a fitness test, and we had no idea. And she goes, please come for some support. So I said, yeah, not a problem. I go, Frank, or I told Frank what was going on. He goes, oh, you go and support. And not a problem. I took the day off. So I went to this gym in Essendon, and I was dressed pretty much like I am now.
Yeah.
I'm sitting back in the waiting room, and they call her in for this interview, and she comes out, and she's gone, babe, I've looked at them like, hey. And she's like, my coffee. I'm like, because I had a coffee there. I'm like, you interrupted an interview for a coffee? She goes, oh, no, he wants to have a chat with you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I sat back and I'm like, how good? I'm thinking he's want to ask me about my wife.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, mate, how good is she? She's going to kill it. She's great. She looks fit. She'll be a great, ambassador. And he goes, yeah, no. I know all about her. How come you haven't entered? And I looked at one of the producers and I looked at him and laughed. And I went, mate, no, have a look at me. At that stage, I had a bit of golfer's elbow and I hadn't trained. I was resting up.
Yeah.
Smacked the man. I got a bit of weight on. Mate, I look like a Buddha, not a ninja. Let's talk about my wife here.
Yeah.
And he goes, mate, look, I'll put you on right now, the fitness test. He goes, if you want to do it, I'll speak to the main producer. And
Now? Like right
at that moment.
Get you to do it.
And the man is jumping down. Yes, he can do it. He's fit. He's not. And I'm like, I'm not fit. I'm like, Amanda, she's getting excited. And I'm like, I said, so I thought, look, I'll humour them and I'll be in there because I can support her.
Yeah.
So we get down there, mate. There's all these blokes that are super fit. They're tanked up. They're all in their 20s. And I'm 48.
Right.
And I'm just like, so I took my jacket on, I had a t-shirt on, slacks, and I was wearing runners. And we had to do X amount of chin-ups and push-ups and burpees and jumps and dead hangs.
Everything.
And I think plank for 5 minutes.
Wow.
And then we had to do this burpee jump, chin-up constantly.
Okay. Yeah.
Then dead hangs until you drop. And I got in there and as they're talking to us, I'm like, my fight warrior mode just comes in. Forget my injury, forget that I'm not fit.
Do this.
Competitive mode struck in. So I've just gone boom, boom, boom. And I'm holding on there. I said, I am not going to let these young kids. I'm not going to be the first one to drop out. I thought I was.
Yeah.
Definitely one of in that cohort. Amanda and I were one of the last ones to drop out.
Oh, great.
And then the producer came over and said, thank you very much. And she pointed to a few and said, can you guys just wait wait. The rest of you, thank you very much. And she looked at the man and she goes, can you two stay? Not wait, stay. And I was just like, sure. And I finished having a chat, and the context of the chat was like, you're pretty much in.
Wow.
I sort of felt that straight away.
Yeah.
And then about a month later, we're on the way to Torquay to do surf lifesaving training with the Dando boys, and we get a phone call from the producer, and she's asked me and Amanda to fly to Sydney to do this, like an opening for sponsors and funding for Channel 9. So like, how good is that?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you know, we knew we were in, and
Off you went.
so yeah, so we were the only husband and wife team on the show for the first season.
Oh, fantastic.
And I ran it on my birthday. I ran it on my 49th birthday.
Oh, wow.
I was the oldest competitor on season 1.
Wow.
So,
That's a good birthday present. It's good feat. And how did you actually feel? Because I saw on YouTube as well your final run. Was it one of your final runs? How did you feel in that moment being there? Just I know the wall as well, that final wall that you have to get over.
It was pretty massive.
What was the experience?
We were up at like 6 in the morning to get to Cockatoo Island, which is the harbour. And the whole day we were doing photo shoots and interviews and this and that. So we're knackered, and then we were eating, and we didn't know when we were going to run. So do we eat a lot? Do we eat a little bit? So by the time we ran, I think Amanda ran at 1 in the morning, and I ran about 1:20, 1:30. So I was just absolutely smashed. And you get up there, and there's like 30 or 40 cameras. There's like nearly 1,000 people to your left, and on the right side there's the producers, the directors, and the camera. And the stage is massive. It's such a big production.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And look, leading up to it, I was going to the Paran skate park because they got a 16-foot half pipe.
Oh, you were practicing there?
So I was practicing. I doing burpees, push-ups, running around, exhausting myself, running up,
trying to get over,
doing and doing it easily.
Yeah, right.
And then I think one time we were there with the kids from school playing basketball, and they was doing some skateboarding, and I ran up the half pipe and smashed my ribs and I cracked the rib.
Oh.
And at this stage, and then I still had golfer's elbow. So I got a broken rib, I got golfer's elbow, so I couldn't train.
Yeah.
And Amanda's going, babe, just don't worry about it. I go, no, I'm training. So every night I was on YouTube watching American Ninja Warrior. And I was analysing the techniques. Picking up the strategy of what to do, going, oh, yeah, he's doing that. Yeah. Trying to get as much of it as I can in.
Right.
The only thing I didn't focus on was the warp wall. Because I was getting up a 16-foot half pipe with the one on injury is 14-foot. But what I learnt on the show was the 14-foot wall is not a half pipe. It's a warped wall.
Oh, so it comes back?
It comes back.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
I was getting up and that was easy.
Right,
You've got to
you go back. Yeah,
and so I stuffed up.
Right.
And then I learnt that, and then when you got back to Melbourne, at that stage I think bouncing when Iris had a warped wall.
Yes.
And I got up that.
Oh, there you go.
And it doesn't count.
Yeah.
I remember Tony Torcasio.
Of course.
He's gone to me, mate, that warp wall, blah, blah, you could have done some squats, some this and that.
Oh.
And, you can do it. He's on the phone. He's trying to be encouraging, Tony.
Yeah.
I said, mate, why don't we go to bounce with the kids? And
bounce the
trampoline, the warp wall.
Place.
I said, mate, I'd love you to show me, and we can work it out, Tony. He goes, mate, done. Yeah. So we go to bounce. He brings down, Ashton and the girls.
Yeah.
We get down there and we go. He goes, oh, there's the wall there. I said, no, let's do the obstacles first.
Yeah, and then
they had like a little ninja park, and then we'll get to the wall. Yeah. We've got the feel of the show.
Of course.
So
lovely.
He's going and he's struggling through the obstacles. He's doing some easy. Others he's looking. He's like, and he gets to the warp wall and he goes, okay. So he has one run up, doesn't do it. Has another run up, and I said, no, Tony, slow, explode, 2 hands.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, me gets I did. I said, no, Tony. That's the 10-foot wall.
Yeah.
That's the 14-foot wall.
Yes.
And he went, oh, shit. And he's just gone, that's impossible, mate. And I went, do you understand, mate?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about your spots, buddy.
He's an armchair critic.
And he goes, oh. So when I got up, he's streaming. He goes, you did it. Did you see it? I go, relax, Tony, mate. It doesn't count, mate. The whole country saw me fail it. This doesn't count. It counted on this show.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my gosh. I love how Tony was calling you, giving you advice. And meanwhile,
I had a lot of armchair critics.
Oh, my gosh. I could imagine. Hey, were a lot of Frank Dando students as well watching that? Were they?
They were. Well, they came down to the school, and my backstory was done at the school.
Okay.
So I had the whole school
they would have
supported me.
Yeah.
And look, we were contracted to keep our mouths shut.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't tell anybody, not even my own kids, no one. Amanda and I kept
NDAs.
really,
Yeah, really.
really quiet. Like even the producer said to me, "Really, you didn't even tell your own kids?" I'm like, "No, we wanted to keep." And I remember Paul going to me, "Mate, I'm watching." I'm like, "The wall is going to do easy. He does it all the time at the pram park because you see me do it." So he was absolutely shocked as well. He goes, "Mate, I really thought you were going to get up."
Oh, shit.
I said, "No." And I explained.
If there's anyone that could do it, though, do you think Paul could do it?
Mate, in his younger day,
Yeah,
he would have been a great ninja.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He
Now,
would have been a great ninja.
oh, for sure, for sure. I guess in summary now, because I think we have to wrap up, but thank you again for coming on.
No,
It's been
my
a
pleasure.
beautiful interview.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And I have one last question for you. I've asked a few of the past guests before. If you were to paint for me an image of what success looks like to you, what would that image look like?
Success, doing what you love with passion, going to bed with a smile, knowing you've done something good, not just for yourself and for family, but for the greater good.
Beautiful. Fantastic. We'll leave it at that.
And just one more thing,
Yes,
to the people
yeah.
listening and watching, if you want to come down and have a look at the school, you are more than welcome.
Yes.
If you've got a child that you think is troubled, please look us up.
Absolutely.
Come down and have a look and judge for yourself.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anything for Sam Greco as well?
Sam Greco, you did not grow up in your mother's womb. I watched your interview. You were conceived there. You grew up outside of the womb, mate.
There you go.
Love you, Sam.
Thank you, Zed. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much. Thank you.